Hey guys, welcome to the second part of this video. So I'm sorry I had to break it, but there's only 3 problems left, so that's the good news. All right, so continuing on, we have 2 equations still, and we still want to get y by itself. It looks like both of these equations don't have y by themselves, so let's go ahead and split up our workspace so that we can do them. So I'm going to do the first equation on the right over here. I'm going to split that over there. And then I'm going to do the second equation on this side. Okay, so in this first right equation, to get y by itself, the first thing I'm going to do is subtract 2x on both sides. Negative 4y equals 8 minus 2x. To still get y by itself, I'm going to divide everything by negative 4. So we have y equals 8 divided by negative 4 is going to be negative 2, and then negative 2 divided by negative 4 is positive 1/2. Okay, so negative divided by negative is a positive. And make sure you simplify your fractions. So our slope here is 1/2, and our y-intercept here is 0, negative 2. So we have 0, negative 2. We go up 1 to the right 2. Up 1 to the right 2. And then I'll go down 1 to the left 2 to go to the other side. All right, now on this right side over here to get y by itself, well, everything's on that right side. So we need to get everything over to the left except for the y. So we need to move the 4, and we need to move the 1/2 x. So we'll do one at a time. The first thing I'll move is the 1/2 x. So I'm going to subtract 1/2 x on both sides. Well, 0 minus 1/2 x is just negative 1/2 x equals 4 plus y. Y is still not by itself, so the next step is just going to be to subtract 4 on both sides. So we have negative 1/2 x minus 4 equals y. Okay, so it's going to be a y-intercept at negative 4, and then, oops, I forgot to identify my slope and my y-intercept. Slope here is negative 1 over 2, and our y-intercept here is 0, negative 4. So we have a y-intercept at negative 4, and then I'm going to go down 1 and to the right 2. Down 1 to the right 2. And it looks like it hasn't ran into the red line yet, so I need to go the opposite way. So then I'll start back at the y-intercept and go up 1 to the left 2. So you want to go the opposite. So it looks like they cross one time, so that's good news. So we have a solution. They cross at this point right here. Their colors both overlap each other. So our solution here is the point negative 2, comma negative 3. Yep, that's what I got. Okay, moving on. Number 6. Well, this one looks kind of scary, doesn't it? Because there's some parentheses here. But this kind of looks like point-slope form, but it's not point-slope form, is it? So we want to get y by itself. So the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to write it down here because there's not a lot of room up there. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is I want to get rid of those parentheses. Well, how do I get rid of them? I distribute. So I have 3x plus y equals 3 times 1 is 3. 3 times 3x is positive 3x. I still don't have y by itself, so I'm going to subtract 3x on both sides. Well, 3x minus 3x becomes 0 on that side, so I just have y left. And then I have 3, and then 3x minus 3x is 0. It also cancels. 3 minus 3 is 0. So then I just have y equals a number. If I have just y and a number, it means it's either a vertical line or a horizontal line. So which axis am I going to look at to plot y equals 3? The y-axis. At what number? Positive 3. So on the y-axis, I'm going to put a point at positive 3. Now these tick marks, they go side to side. So I'm going to draw a horizontal line. And just for fun, do you know the slope? The slope is 0. But we don't really need to know that for this problem. All right, and then the second equation we have is x equals 2. So we're going to look at the x-axis, okay, and we're going to plot a point at positive 2. And this line's going to be a vertical line. And you're like, well, is this no solution? Because I don't see a point where they cross. But remember, we only plot one point, but there's an infinite amount of points on that line. So they do cross at a point. They cross right here. And what is that solution point? It is 2, 3. All right. So that's the basics of solving systems of equations. You want to plot both of those equations and see where they intersect. If they intersect one time, you have one solution, and so you want to state what that point is. If they never intersect and they're parallel, then you have no solution because they never touch. If you graph them and they are the same line, then it's an infinite amount of solutions. All right, so we're moving on to this last problem, which is a word problem. It looks scarier than it is, I know, but you'll be okay. So number 7, Jake has eaten 2 chicken nuggets and continues to eat 1 per minute. Andrew sits next to Jake and eats 2 chicken nuggets per minute to try and beat Jake. Use graphing to show when Jake and Andrew will have eaten the same number of chicken nuggets. Okay, now normally we want to identify our variables first, but it would be way easier to come up with the equations first and then come up with the variables. So let's come up with our equations first in this problem. So the first sentence I see is Jake has eaten 2 chicken nuggets and continues to eat 1 per minute. So he's eaten 2 already and he's eating 1 every minute. So I'm like, okay, well, he's already eaten 2 plus 1x because he's eating 1 each minute. But this isn't an equation, right? So we need a y equals in the front. Y equals 2 plus 1x. Where did these numbers come from? Well, he's eaten 2 already, and then every minute he eats 1 more. So now let's think about what the other equation could be. Well, the other equation is Andrew. Andrew's sitting next to Jake, and he eats 2 chicken nuggets per minute. Well, he's eating 2 per minute. Has he already eaten any? No, he hasn't even eaten any yet. So for his equation, his would be just y equals 2x, because he's eating 2 every minute, but he hasn't eaten any yet. That's why we don't have a number added to it. So in the first one, we have plus 2 because he's already eaten 2. And the second, he hasn't eaten any yet. So now let's try to come up with what our variables are. So let's read that first equation. How did we get the blue equation again? He eats 2 chicken nuggets already, and then he's eating 1 every what? 1 every minute. So x is going to be the number of minutes. Okay? 1 per every minute. Now, what's happening as the minutes go on, right? What's happening every single minute? They're eating more chicken nuggets. That's the thing that's changing. So y is going to be the number of chicken nuggets. Okay? So let's think about this. He eats 1 chicken nugget every minute. That's how you know what x is. He eats 2 chicken nuggets every minute. Now what happens as each minute goes on? More and more chicken nuggets are being eaten. That's the thing that keeps growing and growing. So that's going to be your y. Okay, now the solution to this is where they intersect on our graph, right? So we're going to need to graph. So let's label our x and y axis. Well, we know the x values are going to be your minutes, and the y values are going to be the chicken nuggets. So let's graph the first equation. In the first equation, what's my slope? 1 over 1. What's my y-intercept? 0, 2. So we're going to plot the y-intercept on the y-axis at positive 2, and then we're going to go up 1, over 1 to the right. I want to keep going. I'm going to go for just a little bit, not too far. That seems about right. Okay, so that's Jake's line, because Jake is the blue, and that's how fast he's eating. He's eaten 2 already, and he's getting 1 every single minute. Now Andrew, he's eating 2 every minute, but he hasn't eaten any at the beginning yet. So his slope is 2 over 1 because he's eating 2 every minute, but his y-intercept is going to be 0, 0 because he's eaten 0 chicken nuggets at the beginning. So he goes 0, 0. We go up 2 to the right 1, up 2 to the right 1, up 2 to the right 1, up 2 to the right 1. So it looks like eventually Andrew will beat Jake because look at how much steeper his line is. All right, so now it's saying, what's the solution? Well, remember, the solution is where they intersect each other. Well, they intersect each other right here at this point. So what is that point? It's the point 2, 4. Well, what does that mean? Well, remember, your x is your minutes, and your y is your chicken nuggets. So that means at 2 minutes, what's happening? They've both eaten 4 chicken nuggets. So at 2 minutes, they both have eaten 4 chicken nuggets. Okay? So that's what the solution means. They cross at the point 2, 4. What does it mean? Well, you want to look at your x and y values and see what they mean. The x values are minutes, and the y values are chicken nuggets. So at 2 minutes, they both have eaten 4 chicken nuggets. So Angie catches up to Jake after they've eaten for only 2 minutes. All right, so if you have any questions, please feel free to come in for tutoring, but that is the end for graphing systems of equations.